This is, okay, we're going to go to Sabir Rahman. Sabir Abdur Rahman he's been a citizen of 3 countries. He's Indian by birth, he's Pakistani by nationality, he's American by citizenship. He was educated in Pakistan and in the USA. He has 2 master's degrees. He's a home builder by profession, Jamal Homes, if you've heard of that. And he's been active in community work and interfaith circles since the 1980s. And I believe you are a member of the board of directors of Muslim Community Center in Silver Spring, Sabir Sab. He's a twice immigrant from India to newly formed Pakistan in 1947, of course, that's what we're discussing today, and from Pakistan to the US in 1964. The first was forced by violence, of course, and a need to run to save his life, his family's lives. And the second was by choice, and it was done under very safe circumstances. So this is the story of his first migration, which made him a refugee at the tender age of 7 years old enough to remember and have it implanted in his mind, in his heart, both as centers of consciousness, and young enough to really have affected him for life. So we're going to begin with Sabir Sahib's presentation now. If you have any questions, please just type them in the chat, and I invite Sabir Abdur Rahman to share his presentation. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Parvez. I first want to add my tribute to Kathy. I did not know her, but what I have heard so far, I admire her. And I share your loss, Charles. And Anjum, you want to listen to my story to compare with your father? I want to know your father's story also. If you have it, please share it with me. Let me start by thanking Parvez Khan and all of you for giving me the opportunity to tell you my story. This story needs to be told because it's not as well known as it should be. Parvez Khan has pointed out that the young people do not know about what actually happened in 1947. He's absolutely right. But I have found that the older generation of Pakistanis also do not know as much as they should. I have made many presentations, and after each presentation, many Pakistani adults came to me and told me they did not know what I told them. So this story needs to be told. And thank you, Parvez, for making it possible for me to tell here. Also, the history of Pakistan movement is also not very well known. My name is Sabir Abdur Rahman, as Parvez has told you, Americanized as Sabir Rahman. I came to this country in 1964, and I started writing this story in 1969. I wrote the first day's account and then stopped. I'm basically lazy. 35 years later, my children told me to write it down because I had been telling them stories about 1947 and they had been listening with keen interest, and now they wanted me to write it down. So I started writing it down and they helped me. My son, Rahil, and my brother, Abdur helped me edit what I wrote and reorganize it. My daughter, Rubina, wrote the foreword. And my niece, okay, let me see Are you looking at my slide, or you're not, right?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
Would you like me to bring it up, or you can bring it up?
Share the screen. You have given me permission.
Mm-hmm.
Where is? Where is my slide? Okay, now I can, oh. Parvez, you were talking about technology. I'm not very good at it either.
No problem. If you want, I can bring it up, or if you are still having issues, then I can do that for you.
I
No
got
problem.
it. I got it.
Great.
Yeah, so you share all screens or share that one. Now ask me if he sees it.
Mhm. Okay. Now share screen.
There we go.
Okay. How do I get the?
You're welcome.
Hmm.
Go back to it.
Mhm.
There. Now you just talk. Pull your screens up and just keep talking. You don't have to see me.
It's not going there.
Yeah, ask him.
No, it's not
You
showing.
see-
What we're seeing is we're seeing your the wrong thing. We're seeing your browser. internet
Go
browser.
ahead. Go ahead, Parvez. You put it on.
All right, let's do that.
All screens, not just one.
Mhm.
Take care of that.
You didn't share all.
Okay, I'm going to continue. I'm going to share from my side. Okay, Janab?
Mhm.
All right. My apologies.
Okay, I got it. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, this is what I was talking about. My niece Noshin created this cover. According to her, this is my mother. And she's holding my brother Abdur, who's now 78 years old and listening to this presentation. This is my aunt. This is supposed to be me, but this is supposed to be Noshin's idea of artistic freedom. I don't know who that is. There's nobody from my family. And while we were writing this story, I was also writing many other essays and articles. And my brother Abdur asked me to put them in a collection and publish as a book. And this is the book that was published in 2023 June. And under the title In Search of Meaning, My Struggles for Identity and Self-Discovery. But then 2 months later, I published this book. I did not know what to call it until I remembered a poem by Josh Maliabadi that I read in 8th grade. In that poem was a line, तेरे घर से एक जिंदा लाश उठ जाने को है. A living corpse is about to leave your house. He said that to the city of Maliabad when he was leaving for Pakistan. It seemed to
Dr.
be...
Saab, I'm sorry to interrupt. Can you enlarge your screen? There's a present mode so that we can see just that slide and not all of the slides on the left side, please.
I think it's F5 if you go. There you
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm not technically very good, so keep telling me to do things, I will do them. Josh Maliabadi's the line was about living corpses. And in 1947, for 4 months, we were like the living corpses, moving along without knowing where we were going, without knowing if we were living or dead. I told my children about it and they said it's a great idea. So the title of the book became Flight of the Living Corpses. Let me begin the story. is my story from my childhood memory. It also is the story of 15 to 20 million people of Punjab who were forced to who abandon their houses and run for their life to cross the border, both sides of the border. Then not only the Muslims from east were coming west, Hindus and Sikhs from west were going east. Not all of them made it. Between 1 and 2 million were killed. Only in Punjab, many more were killed in the rest of India. I was 7 years old. I'm 7 years older than Pakistan, and now I'm 84. This is Asia. You can see India and Pakistan now. In 1947, there were no India and Pakistan. This is what the subcontinent looked like at that time. The red part is Punjab. At one time, there were only Hindus in India. Christianity came in 52 through St. Thomas. Arab brought Islam to the southwest of India in 711, and Iranian brought Islam to the rest of the country starting in 11th and 12th century. In around 1500, there were a new religion was born called Sikh religion. By 1947, almost 1/4 of all Indians were Muslim, but in Punjab, the Muslims were in majority. 58% Muslim, 29% Sikh, 12% Hindu, and less than 1% Christians. This is Punjab until 1947. And this is Punjab after 1947. The black line is the knife that cut Punjab into two. We lived in a district called Hoshiarpur. In the lower part of district Hoshiarpur, shown in red, and this was more than 100 miles from Pakistan. We thought that our area would be in Pakistan because the party that was working for Pakistan won the elections, but the British government decided to divide into two halves, and we were 100 miles away from Pakistan. But we didn't really care. We were not going to leave. We thought we had lived here forever. We are going to continue to live here. There's no way for anybody to make us leave. That's what we thought. How wrong we were. Now we are Muslims in Hindu India, unwanted, and we wanted it. Things were getting very bad, very fast. Ramadan in 1947 was from July 19 to August 17, and August 14 was the night of power, Laylatul Qadr. Eid al-Fitr was on August 18. By August 18, things had become so dangerous that when people prayed Eid, half of them prayed, the other half stood guard, and then they switched places. And then the hell broke loose. New Yorker has published a great article called The Great Divide. And they wrote that across in the Indian subcontinent, communities that had coexisted for almost a millennium attacked each other in a terrifying outbreak of sectarian violence, with the Hindus and Sikhs on one side and the Muslims on the other. A mutual genocide as unprecedented as it was unknown. In Punjab and in Bengal, the carnage was especially intense, with massacres, arsons, forced conversions, mass abductions, and savage sexual violence. A few days after Eid, we saw this fire, an arson that New Yorker wrote about. The fire was somewhere in the south of our village, and it was burning very intensely. Nobody knew where it was, how far it was, and what was burning, but everybody was standing on rooftops watching their fire. I found this picture. This is an American picture. Our rooftops were flat, and people were standing on rooftops, not this kind of roof. We did not know what was burning until late at night when we found out that our night guard stopped some people, some strangers who turned out to be people from the nearby village called Mirpur. And they told us that Mirpur was attacked by armed Sikhs who set the village on fire and started killing those who were trying to escape the fire. Everybody just kept on running. Some were killed, some were injured, some left without injuries, and they kept running until they reached another Muslim village where people took them in. But then we were worried. We could be attacked next. What should we do? This is our village. And this is where Mirpur is, under this thing. I don't know how to remove this. But anyway, Mirpur is here. This is our village. This is south about 3 miles. And now our elders got together to decide what to do. While they were together, we heard a noise of a motor vehicle, which was strange for us because no motor vehicle had ever come to our village. We have never even seen a motor vehicle inside the village. And everybody was scared. We had heard stories of Indian army attacking Muslim villages. We thought we were under attack by Indian army, and we thought we were all going to be killed. But it turned out not to be that bad. It was an army truck, but it belonged to a soldier from our village, Meherdin. He had come to take his family to Pakistan. Our elders met with Meherdin. He told them about the situation in East Punjab. Sikhs were attacking Muslim villages, killing many, injuring more, and forcing everyone to leave and go where they did not care. And he told our people, leave as soon as possible and go to Pakistan. Then his family was ready. He put them in the truck and left in the middle of the night. Now we had a decision to make. He had told us to go to Pakistan, but we had no idea where Pakistan was. Where was it? Which way was it? How far was it? How to go there? We had no idea. But we decided to leave anyway. We started packing our stuff inside the houses, cleaning the houses, and then locked the houses, gave the keys to our Hindu servants, and started packing whatever little we could take, the bare essentials and the valuable, in a bullock cart. This is a bullock cart. As you can see, very little can be taken in it. In Urdu, it's called Balgadi. In Punjabi, it's called Gadda. We packed whatever little we could in that and early in the morning, cooked the meal, ate it, and cooked another meal and packed it for on the way, and we left. When we were leaving, everybody was crying, but everybody was saying, don't worry, this is temporary, we will come back. And they actually believed it. We were sure we were going to come back. Things will get better, we will come back. And when we left, our caravan looked like the caravan of the Israelites leaving Cairo. No, they didn't have Cairo at that time, Egypt. And this is a scene from the movie 10 Commandments. This is what we look like, because a typical caravan in Punjab looked like this. This is not our caravan. We didn't have any cameras, but this is how people left. This is the departure scene of a typical caravan, and this is the typical caravan then when they left. We left our village, got on the main road and went to a place called Balachor, which is where our police station was. We met with the police chief. We were hoping that he would give us escort to the nearest protected refugee camp, which was in Ludhiana. He refused. He said, I can take you to a camp I'm setting up, and I will protect you there, but I cannot give you protection to the refugee camp. Our people did not accept his offer. We decided then in the morning we are going to move on. There were only 2 Muslim police officers in that police station, and they were away that night. They came back late at night, met with our elders, and decided to support us and escort us. How they arranged that with the chief, I have no idea. But they went with us part of the way. This is our village. This is where we left. We got on the main road here and to the police station here. And the next day, under the protection of those 2 policemen, the caravan continued. Right here is a village called Niana, where my uncle, Muhammad Hussain, and my aunt Zeenat lived. That village somehow knew that we were coming. They gave us food to eat, and then they joined us. The combined caravan continued along the way with 2 policemen protecting us, riding on horses, carrying guns in uniform. Somewhere around here, we were attacked by armed Sikhs. This is a picture from RSS. I don't know if Sikhs look like this, but they look this menacing anyway. They were approaching from the front, from the left side, when some people started yelling to the policemen, please come. Policemen rushed to the front. When they saw the policemen in uniform with guns, riding horses, they stopped. And they said, oh, we are here to find out about your welfare and see if we can help you. And then they left. If the policemen were not with us, our journey would have ended there. We would all have died. And nobody believed what they said. We continued the journey along this way until we reached the river. This is the river Satluj, one of the longest rivers in Punjab, the southernmost river. And now when we reached here, there was a problem. The river had to be crossed to go to Ludhiana. But many people from our village did not want to cross the river. They were scared of the river because it looked like this. There's no bridge. You have to either take little boat or swim. And nobody from our village knew how to swim. They did not know anything about water. They had never seen a river. They have never seen a lake, and they were scared of the water. But the people of Niana, the village we picked up on the way, they lived next to the river. They knew everything about the river, and they said, we will get you across. But our people got split. Up to now, they were united, but half of them, maybe less than half of them, said we want to try to cross. The others said we don't want to cross. They went to another camp, which was this side of the river, but was not protected and was further away. We began to try to cross the river. There was one boat, something like this, and two men who knew how to operate it. They carried everything that needed to be protected from the water and all the people in that boat, and they worked day and night for many days and got everyone across. But then there were animals and the bullock carts. The bullock carts could float and animals could swim, but they had to be guided. And the people of the other village, Niana, were expert swimmers. They were able to guide them. We had two types of animal, the cow animal and the water buffalo animals. Cow animals can swim, but they don't like water. They would jump in and swim across fast and get out. Water buffalo loves water. You get them in the water, they don't want to come out. So their guides have to have special skill to force them to come out. Somehow they arrange everything, and I don't know whether it took a week or more or less, but we got across and nobody was hurt. No loss. These are the buffaloes. They love water. Across the river, we stayed for many days. We sort of lost our purpose. That Herculean effort to cross the river took everything out of us. And now we were just sitting there doing nothing for many days until Indian Army soldiers came and robbed us. We heard the motor vehicle noise, and that was strange because there was no road nearby. They knew about the caravans, and they just were going from caravan to caravan, robbing them. And many a time they killed everybody in the caravan, or most of the people in the caravan. When they approached us with guns drawn in uniforms, and we thought we were going to die. They proceeded with military precision to rob us. They wanted cash, gold, and silver. Women had a lot of gold and silver. So they would approach a family and to demand the cash be handed over, gold and silver be handed over. And if somebody was little, and they wanted all the jewelry that the women were wearing, they wanted them to take off and give it to them. If anyone was a little slow in taking this off, they would snatch it, leaving the women bleeding and injured. Then they would order that the metal trunks be opened. If somebody was slow enough to open them, they would break them open with rifle butts and then toss everything away, searching for cash, gold, and silver. After robbing one family, they would move on to the next, leaving that family behind to tend to the injuries and bleeding of the women, injured so. And collecting the things tossed around. They filled 3 very large burlap bags with gold and silver, took all the cash, and left. We thank God they did not kill us. Then we started moving very fast. Now we had to get to the camp as quick as possible. But these people, our caravan started the very next day, but now we had a problem. The rains were coming and they would not stop. They would just kept on raining. The whole area was full of water. The roads were wet, and these were all dirt roads. There were no the paved roads in that area, all dirt roads, and they had become pools of mud. And our carts would get stuck in the mud, and bullocks would not be able to pull them out. People would get together, push them, pull them, and it took a very, very strong effort. We were stuck in there for many, many days. You can imagine somebody stuck in a snowstorm that turns a half-hour trip into 5-hour ordeal. Our position was much worse. Somebody in snowstorm is in a car that's heated and they're going home. We were out in the open, wet and cold, hungry and tired, and no place to go, no destination. And it took us long time, but we finally reached the Ludhiana camp. This is the river, and we traveled this way, finally reaching Ludhiana, which is right here. It's from here to here is about 30 miles, but it must have taken us many, many days to get there because we only traveled a couple of miles a day. This is Ludhiana in 1947. Pervez, how can I take this off?
Which piece is that, Janab?
The information. The information, because the river is under the information. This is the river.
Ah, okay, I see. Yeah, so this is a picture that you you uploaded to there. So
Right.
we can't take it off right now because
Okay.
it's the picture you embedded.
Anyway, I can tell you this is where the river is. The river is under this. It starts here. You can see it here. The river, the Ludhiana city in 1947 was all only below the river. This side of the river, there was nothing. You see a whole city now, but there was absolutely nothing in this area. This is the railroad track. This is the highway. Beyond the river, between the railroad track and highway, all this open area became the protected refugee camp. These 3 are the limits of the camp. There was no limit in this direction. It could go as far as it need to. We reached that place and it was already very, very crowded. People were packed in that river. We found a little spot and put our cart over there and sat around the cart. Very small area around the cart is all we had, enough to sit during the day and lie down at night on bare earth under open sky. We had no shelter, no protection, and we stayed there for 2 months. During those 2 months, nobody ever came to inquire about us, offer anything, offer any help. If we got sick, no, there was no health facilities, a health care available, and we had to take care of ourselves. If this is the month of September when we got there, temperatures in September are well over 100, 100 to 110. Sun shines all the time. There are no clouds in Punjab. And when sun shone, it's shone on us. And we lived in that heat. And if it rained on us. We had no protection from the rain. The river kept, as the rains kept falling, the river kept rising and finally it flooded. As the river flooded, the water was in all of the camp, a foot deep or more, and we had no place to go. Some of us climbed the carts and sat on the carts, and that was not very easy to do because water did not rise above the carts. But the animals had to sit in the water all the time. Some people start looking for high ground. There's no high ground in Punjab. The only high place was the railroad track because they built on high berms. Many people tried to go there and many were killed by the trains. And we stayed there until sometime in November. Eid al-Adha was on October 25. It was not any special day for us. We didn't even know it was Eid al-Adha, but the Indian authorities came to make sure that the Muslims were not doing anything to offend Hindu or Sikh sensitivities. Nobody was doing anything. It was just another miserable day. Finally, we got order to start moving. We had to go from Ludhiana to Firozpur, which is 80 miles away. This is where we left. This is Balachor, the police station. This is Ludhiana. From Ludhiana, we had to go to Firozpur. This distance is 80 miles. One road, very long trail of bullock carts, single lane, and we traveled few miles every day. And then when we were told to stop, we stopped. When we were told to start moving, we start moving. I don't know how many days it took. It could be 8 or 9 or 10 days, but we finally reached Firozpur. Firozpur was a very dangerous place. Many people were killed in Firozpur. We finally crossed Firozpur and reached the river. This is Satluj River, which we could cross somewhere here. And now we had to cross it again, but this time it will be easy because it has a bridge. All we have to do is go over the bridge. But the crossing is different now than it was in 1947. In the 1960s, they built a dam, and with a long bridge, now you can go over this bridge. But in 1947, this was the situation. The river branched into 2 branches right here, and there were bridges on each branch. This branch, the first branch and the island was in India. There was a bridge on the second branch. Crossing that bridge would put us in Pakistan. When people reached this island, they started moving at a very mad rush speed. Perhaps they were looking at the escape route after the second bridge and they wanted to rush to cross it, or they were sensing some kind of unknown danger that they were trying to escape. But we rushed very, very fast through this. If somebody asked me what's hell, I would say it's that island on the day we crossed it. Finally, we crossed that river and we were in Pakistan. In Pakistan, the situation was very, very different. The road on the other side of Pakistan had trees lined on the left side. Next to it was the irrigation water channel. Beyond the irrigation water channel were the farms. On the other side was the railroad track. And everybody was relaxed. Men were leisurely walking with hookah going around from smoker to smoker. Women were they sitting on the carts and talking or walking and talking. The bullocks were not being driven. They were moving at their own speed. And everyone was relaxed because the danger, the fear, the grief was long gone, more than 2 hours ago. Children were running around, playing everywhere, and nobody bothered to hold on to them the way they were holding on to them on the other side of the border. I ran around everywhere, even into the farms, and nobody panicked. And we thought we had come into heaven. That was sort of heavenly for us. But as soon as we reached the city of Qusur, we found out that the people did not care about us. They gave us dirty looks. They were indifferent to us at best and contemptuous of our presence at worst. And we certainly realized, no, we are not in heaven. This is something else, maybe purgatory. We still had no roof over our head. We still did not know where we were going. We had no destination. We did not have guarantee of food. We were still exposed to all the elements of the nature, cold at night, hot, heat in the day. If rain, no protection from rain. But at least no one was trying to kill us anymore. And that was a blessing. We traveled in Pakistan for many, many days, maybe week or 2 weeks. I do not know how many, I don't remember. But we crossed the river here, we went to Qusur, went to Lahore, Shadra, Sheikhupura, Farooqabad, and all the way to Sukheki. And we still did not know what to do. There was no one to guide us. Finally, we got a message from somewhere, I don't know how, that there is a village around here where some of our village people have gone and settled, and they wanted us to come there. So we came back. This is our whole journey. This where we left, went to Ludhiana, went to Firozpur, Qusur, Lahore, Sheikhupura, all the way to Sukhegi. From there, we came back and turned on a small road and came to a place called Yatri Kona. Kona means old. In the district Sheikhupura. Finally, we had a roof over our head. All the details are in the book. Thank you for listening.
Sabir, thank you so much for that moving presentation and that personal account here. We're going to move to questions and answers to see who has a question here. I did, and I'll post again in the chat, the direct link to your book on Amazon. You can get it from Sabir if you want to have it mailed to you, or just go to Amazon and you can order it from there. Flight of the Living Corpses: My Family's Journey Through Hell in 1947 by Sabir Abdur Rahman. All right. If you have a question, you're free to unmute yourself and ask, or you can type it in the chat. But let's open it up to Q&A. Is that all right, Sabir?
Sure.
Thank you again. We did have one question earlier about the caravans. Who exactly was in the caravans that you spoke of? Was it family, or who exactly was in the caravan?
When we started, it was our whole village. Each Punjab village used to have three kinds of people living in it: the farmers, the craftsmen, and the laborers. Farmers were usually belong to one faith, either all Muslim, all Sikh, or all Hindu. The craftsmen could be either faith, and the laborers were always Hindu, the low caste Hindus. From our village, all the Muslims left, all the farmers, all the craftsmen, they all left. And it was about 100 families. Our village was very large, about 100 families. Each family had a bullock cart. Some may not have any, but most of them had bullock carts, and we were either carrying stuff on the bullock carts or carrying on our head and walking. Then the caravan got expanded when we reached the village of Niana, where it was a much smaller village, maybe 40, 50 family joined us. The caravan became about 150 family. And I think the number of people in the caravan started around maybe 400, 500 and became 600, 700.
Understand. Thank you. We have a question. What was the role of the Pakistani establishment at that time? The new Pakistani establishment. Did they provide any help to the Muhajir people, the people who were emigrating?
I have heard stories that some people say that they receive help. We received absolutely nothing. Nobody ever came to us to see how we were doing or to guide us to go someplace. We were wandering aimlessly and did not know what to do. And finally, it was one of our own village people who had found a place where they settled. They were the ones who came to us and said, come to such and such village and we will have place for you. But the officials did not do anything. Now, something that official did is on the other side. City of Lahore is a very large city. When we left Kasur, we reached Lahore at the end of the day, maybe 5 or 6 p.m., and entered the city of Lahore. They said, nobody can stop in Lahore. I have heard there caravans, there were camps in Lahore. I do not know. They didn't let us stop in Lahore. We traveled 20 miles. Usually we traveled maybe 6, 7 miles a day. We had to travel 20 miles all night and into the morning because they would not let us stop in the city of Lahore. Nobody had eaten anything. We were dead tired, but they just kept saying, keep going, you cannot stop. This is what the Pakistani official did.
Wow. So there was somebody else asked if there was again, if there was help coming from all the way from different places of East Punjab, but you're saying that there really was no help from the Pakistani officials, the new Pakistan elite.
No, I have heard that some people were helping the incoming people, but the official did not. Even when we went to them saying that we want a house to live in, they said, go find an empty house, live in it. They didn't guide us.
I see. Thank you. So what do you think were there people, I know you're telling us your historical account and your narrative, and thank you for that. Were there people who were Hindu living in what is now Pakistani Punjab who moved to what is now Indian Punjab? So they're reverse of you?
Absolutely. I was telling you my story, but the whole story that everybody may be interested in. There were 15 to 20 million people that crossed the border. About 60% of them came from India to Pakistan, Muslims. About 40% went from Pakistan to India, Hindus and Sikhs. Of the between 1 and 2 million people who were killed, there were evenly divided between Muslims on other side, maybe 60% Muslims and 40% Hindus and Sikhs. The tragedy was on both sides.
Thank you for that. I'm invited up others to ask questions. Either type it in the chat or you can unmute yourself. Andra.
So, Sabir, thank you, Parvez. So, Sabir, you're saying that when the Muslims were leaving India, constant killing was going on. And then you're also saying when the Hindus who were living in the Pakistan area were trying to leave Pakistan to go to India, that the Muslims there were trying to kill the Hindus while they were on their way to India. Is that true?
That's true.
Was there was there any kind of guidance at all once they decided to separate India and Pakistan? Was there any kind of appeal from whatever the government was at that time to say, let's have a peaceful transition? Was there anything set into place? In other words, was there any order to this at all? Any consciousness, any ethics that were involved in setting up India and Pakistan to protect both the Hindus on one hand and Sikhs, and also the Muslims?
No, absolutely not.
So how did you know to leave?
I told you there was a fire in the next village, and we found out the village had been attacked and people had been killed, and the village had been burned, and we knew that other villages would be actually our village was attacked 3 days after we left, and the attackers were highly disappointed that we were not there, so they could kill us.
So you escaped with your lives?
We escaped. We left the day that we left, telling each other, we are coming back, we are coming back. 3 days later, nobody was talking about coming back. And then that whole idea was gone. We were just trying to get out of the hell and save our lives. Fortunately, my family, nobody was hurt. We got sick. I got sick with cholera in the Ludhiana camp, and my brother got sick with smallpox after reaching Pakistan, but nobody died. But we heard about people getting killed and people dying from disease all the time. Although I was only 7 years old, I heard conversation. We were out in the open. I heard conversation all the time. Some people telling each other, my brother got killed, my sister got killed, my father got killed, and then they're describing how they were killed with graphic details. I still remember those. Some people might find it hard, but I have pictures of those conversations in my mind still. The army, when they robbed us, I have that picture, that whole video in my mind, how they did it.
Sabir, if you had to guess a number of days as to how many days you and your family lived without a roof over your head, how
4
many?
months. 4 months.
Wow. Allah.
Mm-hmm.
We have another question here. I'm not sure exactly which city has killing started. I think this person is might be asking if you know where the violence sprang from, where it originally started from.
There is a debate on that subject, and there is no absolute information. The violence happened everywhere. It happened in Rawalpindi, and it happened in Lahore. It happened in Amritsar. It happened in Hoshiarpur. It happened everywhere. And if you are on the Indian side of the border, you will hear Muslims started it. If you are on the Muslim side of the border, you will hear Sikhs started it, Hindus started it. Nobody knows the truth. Both started it. Both are equally responsible for it.
Oh, okay. That neighbor is asking, and that's what I heard from the violence started in Rawalpindi.
That's true, but the details of the violence are dependent on who tells you.
Okay. Anjum has a question. I'm just going to read this. It's a little long. However, if you don't mind my adding, Rajmohan Gandhi's research, which he did from both sides, was able to demonstrate that between the British and the Hindus and the Sikhs, there was a concerted and actual genocide of Punjabi Muslims. They were, in fact, the largest numbers killed. So the mass loss on the Muslim side was also because they were targeted by more than one enemy, quote unquote enemy, in this divide and conquer scheme of the British.
This is true, but it's only half true. The Muslims killed quite a few Hindus and Sikhs in what is now Pakistan also. The number of killed is larger on the Muslim side. There's no question, because Muslims were larger in numbers anyway. 58% of all Punjab population was Muslim. So they keep saying that East Punjab had a Muslim minority, which is subject to question. But that's what was decided by the Congress Party and the British government, that East Punjab, there are fewer Muslims, and therefore we should not give that to Pakistan. There were a lot of Muslims in East Punjab. So there were more Muslims coming from east to west than Hindu and Sikhs going from west to east. That's why the number of Muslims killed were much larger than the number of Hindus and Sikhs killed. But both sides killed each other.
Thank you. Minha, you have a question? Just unmute yourself.
Yes, Parvez. Thank you so much, Sabir Saab, for this wonderful, oral history. I was wondering, do you know of any plan where they thought about not dividing Punjab, and then who would have gotten it? Like, why did they have to divide Punjab?
This is the subject that I will ask Parvez Khan to set it up for the history of the movement to create independence. There were so many different plans between 1940 and 1947. One of them was called Cabinet Mission Plan. Another one was Cripps Plan. And one of those plans was to do this, create three separate entities in India: the East, the West, and the Middle. And they will all be together, but they would be internally autonomous. Muslim League accepted it, Congress rejected it. And that way, Punjab and Bengal would have remained together. In 1946, Sorworthy wanted Bengal to remain united and independent by itself. There were a lot of support for that also. Congress opposed that too. That did not happen. So there were a lot of plans, but this is the one that finally happened.
Thank you so much. The other question I wanted to ask was, who was in your caravan in terms of your family?
Oh, us two brothers. I was 7 and my brother was a little over 1. And my mother, my grandmother, my grandfather, my aunt, 4 uncles and 2 granduncles. 10 of us.
Thank you.
And of course, four bullocks and 1 water buffalo. They were also part of our family.
We have a couple of comments. Thank you for sharing your heartfelt perspective. Your account is deeply moving, underscoring the profound tragedy of the situation. It's a testament to the resilience of your family that they survived such tumultuous times and reached their destination safely. The partition was not just a division of land, it was a rupture of humanity itself.
I agree, fully agree.
And Anjum wants to add her thanks as well. Thank you so much for sharing your story and the story of partition. Allah reward you and your children and family who helped in this project to get this important narrative disseminated. We need more sharing as this history is not finished yet.
Absolutely. I want to get to know Anjum and I want to get to know her father.
Thank you so much. If you don't mind my adding something when you said about the ox and the cattle, because yes, they were such an integral part of the family. My father told me that his older brother disappeared when they were already had made, I can't remember how far away from their village, and the village they had looked back was burning. And so they were escaping, I think it was right after dawn. Or right before dawn. And my father said that they couldn't find his older brother. He disappeared when they had reached one place where there was refugee camps. And they found out, luckily, he survived. He showed up hours later with the cow. He said that cow, because of his bravery, because by that point people were getting slaughtered, because of that cow, they were able to survive because the cow was their food source and critical to the family. So that was beautifully put. It was part of the family, and he felt that we can't leave it behind.
Absolutely. There were so many people who got lost that way and were never found. I'm very happy that your uncle was found. And as far as our bullocks are concerned, one of them was born in front of me and I raised him. Of course, a boy at 2 years old is a very little boy, but a 2-year-old bullock is a full grown.
Yeah.
If anyone has any other questions, by the way, I'm Kashmiri, and we call that munj.
Andra wants to say something, I think.
Okay, go ahead, Andra.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Sabir, for sharing this. It's difficult for you to have lived through this, and it must have been very difficult for you to write the book and to record all of the details again, to relive that very, very challenging, difficult experience, supposedly going through hell and then coming to heaven. What I'm wondering is from what you see, Sabir, for those people who have suffered through this, both the Hindus and the Muslims, respectively, do they harbor still tremendous prejudice against the other? And has that lessened at all since they've been coming, since they've gotten involved and become part of the citizens of Pakistan or continued to be part of citizens in India?
A large number of them do not. Large number of them have actually overcome the trauma, and if they did something wrong, they're sorry about it. Very large number. A few you will still find who say, everything I did was right. I killed so many people and I had the right to do it. Very few. But most of them, I visited India in 2007. I met a lot of people and everybody was so friendly. Everybody was so happy to see me there because they remembered my family. They remember everybody, and I was well received. And only found one person in that visit when my host took me to visit somebody and he was there. He was adamant. Everything we did was wrong. Muslims should not have been left alive. He was sick. And in Lahore, you will find Muslims who would say the same thing. Why did we let Hindus and Sikhs live alive? If you allow me, Parvez, I want to share one thing with you that might be relevant.
Please.
I have suffered a trauma, and I did not know about it. I felt about things the way I did. I had no understanding why I feel that way. My wife used to love horror stories, and I never watched any movie with her. I could not. She used to watch war movies. I could not watch war movies. And one time, about 7 years ago, I was invited to speak at a synagogue, and both of you were there. Parvez, you were there. Andra was there also. And I was asked by the rabbi, how did you overcome the trauma? I did not know how to answer it. But I started thinking about it after that, and I found out I have never overcome that trauma. Death, the subject of death scares me, not my death. I don't care about my death. You can talk about my death. If the death comes to me today, I'm okay. But I cannot hear about somebody else's death. Somebody else's death traumatizes me. And what's happening in Ukraine, what's happening in Gaza, what's happening in Kashmir, what's happening, all those places, they traumatize me. I don't know how to deal with them. So sometimes I don't even read those things because, and those people keep sending videos about people getting killed. I cannot watch them. So this is the trauma that I carry with me. I did not know about it until about 6 years ago, and then that rabbi woke me up and made me think about it, and now I understand it.
Thank you so much. Marvin says, thanks so much for your story. It's hard to imagine for many of us enduring such an upheaval, especially at age 7, and of such violence.
If you get a chance to read my book, there are a lot more details in there, and I'd explain everything in it. And if you want, you can send me an email. I'll send you my book.
And here it is. Anjum.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Sabir, for talking about this issue about trauma also, because one of the things that people don't realize is, of course, the passed on trauma and the internalized trauma. If it's not healed, it continues generationally. And you know, I think a lot of us who are the children of your generation and those who went through this have had a lot of emotionality about this subject matter and about the case of conflict and refugee status and wars. I wanted to just say that what I mentioned in the chat, thanking you for this, because it is really important people recognize that this isn't over. This is actually ongoing. So I was really happy to see my parents. We grew up with a lot of Sikh friends and even Hindu friends from Punjab. And my parents never seemed to have differentiated because they felt more affinity with them because they were Punjabi and not made an issue about their religious difference. But at the same time, and my mother was actually in Pakistan, so she was on the side that you talked about, where she and her family were hiding Hindus to help them out because there were people trying to kill the Hindus. But right now, like I just was at a talk on Palestine, and one of the things that was said was that the British, because India was the jewel in the crown, actually the whole entire British mandate about Palestine was part of the issue of the empire and having facility to getting towards India. It was about controlling the whole area in between. So I feel like there's so much more to this story going on even in today's world, because people think of it only as one historical narrative. And I think that your sharing is going to be critical, because people need to be able to piece together that those who are survivors till this day are actually shedding light on a lot more than just history that's one and done.
Thank you.
I encourage you to visit the link and take a look at the book and purchase it for yourself to get all the details to get all the details that Sabir mentioned he has in the book that you just can't share in a presentation. Although I do hope to have this presentation in person at a couple of places. Okay, somebody had a question, had their hand raised.
Can I say one more thing? If you talk to an Indian, they would say all of the Muslims were busy killing Hindus and Sikhs. If you talk to a Pakistani Muslim, he would say all the Hindus and Sikhs were busy killing Muslims. Neither one is true. You know, in business, we have an 80-20 rule. That rule apply here also. In Punjab of 1947 and also Bengal of 1947, 80% of the people were busy doing taking care of their life. They did not participate in any bad activities or any good activities. The 20% were divided between 10 and 10, 10% who were busy killing.
My apologies. Apologies, I muted him for.
This is something that people do not know about, and it should be recognized, because there were a lot of people who had nothing to do with what happened, and we keep blaming everybody. Everybody should not be blamed.
Okay. My apologies for the cutout there. Okay, someone says, I echo Sabir's sentiment. The enduring animosity present in certain families on both sides can be largely attributed to the influence of divisive and self-serving politicians who thrive on sowing seeds of hatred.
Which is true.
And Charles says, incredible suffering you experienced, sadly multiplied millions of times, that you could survive and perhaps even thrive is miraculous. So what part did your faith play in this and still play in this?
Yeah, faith is something you fall back on and say, is God's will. and God will take care of me. And so it plays a very important role.
Minha, you have a question?
Yes, Sabir, thank you so much again. You know, I appreciate this so much. I used to teach history to freshmen in high school, and one of the movies I showed was 1947 Earth. But now I can imagine you probably haven't seen that movie given the trauma. And you know, there have been Indian movies about it. But I think the most troubling for me was watching the Pakistani drama Dastan. It was really very graphic and very, very difficult for me, and it shared a lot about the Pakistan movement. And so I guess I can't ask you about, you know, what representation you think is most realistic. But the question I have two questions. One is, I have a very dear Hindu Sikh friends. You know, they're half their family is Sikh and half their family is Hindu, and I lived with them while I was in college in my last year, and the father is 104 years old, mashallah.
Mashallah.
And yes, and his wife is about 85. And I've always wanted them to do something like this, and I'm so grateful that you've done it. So my first question is, you know, do you have a group, you know, of people who have gone through this? Because I think it would be so helpful if all of you, you know, were able to meet. And then my second question is, you know, I've always wanted some of my Sikh friends to come visit Pakistan, or, you know, the other way around. How did you manage that trip that you took to India? And do you know of any Indians who did the other thing? Because this family that I mentioned, you know, Baba and Ami, who are like in 85 and 104 now, mashallah, they were from Abdabad, and they made the move all the way from Abdabad to Ludhiana. So anyway, just wondered if you have any groups and how you manage that trip.
I talk to people and individually. We do not have a group. Most of the people I know are immigrants, but nobody is as old as I am. Nobody remembers as much as I do. But getting a visa to India and Pakistan is a situation that's sometimes hot, sometimes cold. In 2007, fortunately, they were giving visas, although it was a little bit more difficult for a Pakistani to get visa to India than anybody else. When I went to apply for visa, they were telling everybody, come back in the afternoon, pick up the visa, and told me 3 days later, they want to check me out. I'm a Pakistani. But now, after that, couple of years after that, things got bad. Now they're not giving visas to anybody. Pakistan is not giving visa to Indians. Indians are not giving visa to Pakistanis. Pakistanis are a little relaxed on the Sikhs because the Sikhs somehow can get visa to come to Pakistan. Hindus cannot, and Muslims cannot get visa to India. I want to go back because that one trip was so nice. I wanted to go back, but I cannot. They won't give me visa.
I'm so sorry to hear that. Thank you for sharing.
As we wrap up here, just a couple of comments here. It may be, Andra said, it may be that those who have suffered as you have, Sabir, have become more involved with bringing more understanding among different faith traditions and perhaps have become dedicated peace activists themselves. I think that's obvious.
I have been involved in interfaith for the last 40 years, but I have given up now. I lost hope in humanity. Andra will not like to hear this, but I have.
May it be restored, inshallah.
Inshallah.
There is one, Nuzaida mentioned there's one, Anchal Malhotra. She interviewed many Indians and Pakistanis about 1947. Maybe you've heard of Anchal Malhotra.
No, I haven't, but I will look her up.
And Charles commends you for your insistence not to blame anyone.
No, I don't blame anyone because both sides were equally responsible for it, but not everyone was involved. There are a lot of people who were actually trying to stop it. I heard Mina tell us that they were, and yeah, it was Anjam's mother, right? You were trying, your mother was trying to protect the Hindus. There were a lot
Yes.
of people in India who were trying to protect the Muslims.
Yes, they actually lived in the oldest part of Lahore where the houses are really right next to each other. And in that, it's Usman Ganj area, I guess. And you reach over into the neighbor's house, you can actually cross over. So the women, the Hindu women were actually jumping over. And if they couldn't make it over, they were giving them their jewelry
Right.
and sometimes even the kids to hide them.
We only remember bad things. We do not remember good things. A lot of good things also happened.
Sabir Sahib, Zafar has heard about efforts to establish a museum or memorial near the Wagah-Attari border aimed at creating a space where stories can be shared and preserved. Do you have any further information about this initiative, this memorial near the Wagah-Attari border?
Zafar Saab? No, I don't. If Zafar Saab has it, then because I know at Wagah, I have crossed Wagah once, actually twice, with one each direction. And they won't even let one side come together with the other side. You can't even shake hands with people on the other side. They're so badly separated. So if they have created a space where both sides can come together, a common area, that would be excellent, but I seriously doubt it, especially with the current situation between India and Pakistan. If anybody knows about it, I'd like to hear it.
Obviously, it set in motion a lot of things, a lot of political realities with which we're still dealing. So I want to thank you again, Sabir Saab. And we're going to close this out and end the recording. Again, if you want the recording from Sabir, you can reach out to him and put the link in the chat again to his book, which obviously has a lot more details, Flight of Living Corpses. And thank you all for coming. Any last burning questions or comments at the end? All right, thank you.
My comment is to thank you profusely. You have done so much kindness to me, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you all very much. I'm going to close this out, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.